Good evening. I did finish eating. I'm uploading my food video. Copy video my hard drive. It's soon at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. is this Eurovision Song Contest. I'd like to reading some more. Let's try reading one more. Because I never get finished to this. So I need half a minute to get to my bed.
Timeline of jet power. This article uses bare URLs, which are uninformative and vulnerable to link rot. Please consider converting them to full citations to ensure the article remains verifiable and maintains a consistent citation style. Several templates and tools are available to assist in formatting, such as refill, documentation, and citation bot documentation. August 2022. Learn how and when to remove this message. This article outlines the important developments in the history of the development of the air-breathing, duct, jet engine. Although the most common type, the gas turbine-powered jet engine, was certainly a 20th century invention, many of the needed advances in theory and technology leading to this invention were made well before this time. The jet engine was clearly an idea whose time had come. Frank Whittle submitted his first patent in 1930. By the late 1930s there were 6 teams chasing development, 3 in Germany, 2 in the UK and 1 in Hungary. By 1942 they had been joined by another half-dozen British companies, 3 more in the United States based on British technology, and early efforts in the Soviet Union and Japan based on British and German designs respectively. For some time after the World War II, British designs dominated, but by the 1950s there were many competitors, particularly in the US with its huge arms buying program. Prehistoric times, edit. 1 Ordovician period. The first known cephalopods, they swim by a natural built-in reciprocating hydrojet. Ancient times, edit. 1st century AD, Eolipile described by Hero of Alexandria steamjet forward/rocket engine on a bearing. The Lejup, 1791 1929, edit. 1791. John Barber receives British patent #1833 for a method for rising inflammable air for the purposes of producing motion and facilitating metallurgical operations. In it he describes a turbine. 1884, Charles Algernon Parsons patents the steam turbine. In the patent application he notes that the turbine could be driven in reverse to act as a compressor. He suggests using a compressor to feed air into a furnace, and a turbine to extract power to run the compressor. Although intended for factory use, he is clearly describing the gas turbine. 1887, Gustave de Laval introduces Nozzle's design of small steam turbines. 1897, Harold Medway Martin patent number 6088 combustion chamber powering a turbine. 1900, Sanford Alexander Moss publishes a paper on turbo compressors. He builds and runs a test example in 1903. 1903, Egidius Elling builds a gas turbine using a centrifugal compressor which runs under its own power. By most definitions, this is the first working gas turbine. 1906, the Homme Le Male gas turbine tested in France. This was a relatively large machine which included a 25-stage centrifugal compressor designed by Auguste Reytaud. The gas turbine could sustain its own air compression but was too inefficient to produce useful work. 1908, Hans Hollwarth starts work on extensive research on an explosive cycle gas turbine, based on the Otto cycle. This design burns fuel at a constant volume and is somewhat more efficient. By 1927, when the work ended, he has reached about 13% thermal efficiency. 1908, René Lorin patents a design for the ramjet engine. 1909, Marquand proposes a modification of Lorin's design using a resonant compression chamber, creating the pulse J. 1910, Romanian inventor Henry Conde builds the Conde 1910 which he exhibits at the International Aeronautic Salon in Paris. It uses a ducted fan for propulsion instead of a propeller. Years later he claimed that it burned fuel in the duct and was thus a motorjet, but historians debate this claim, and his claims that the aircraft flew in December 1910 before crashing and burning. 1916, Auguste Reytaud suggests using exhaust-powered compressors to improve high-altitude performance, the first example of the turbocharger. 1915, Albert Fourneau devised a solution for increasing the range of artillery, comprising a gun-launched projectile which was to be united with a ramjet propulsion unit. This was to make it possible to obtain a long range with low initial muzzle velocities, allowing heavy shells to be fired from relatively lightweight guns. 1917, Sanford Alexander Moss starts work on turbochargers at General Electric, which goes on to be the world leader in this technology. 1917, James Stocker Harris patents a motorjet design on behalf of his brother-in-law Robert Alexander Ravo Bolton. 1920, W.J. Stern reports to the Royal Air Force that there is no future for the turbine engine in aircraft. He bases his argument on the extremely low efficiency of existing compressor designs. Stern's paper is so convincing there is little official interest in gas turbine engines anywhere, although this does not last long. 1921, Maxime Guillaume patents the axial flow turbine engine. It uses multiple stages in both the compressor and turbine, combined with a single very large combustion chamber. Although slightly different in form, the design is significantly similar to future jet engines in operation. 1923, Edgar Buckingham at the United States National Bureau of Standards publishes a report on jets, coming to the same conclusion as W.J. Stern, that the turbine engine is not efficient enough. In particular, he notes that a jet would use 5 times as much fuel as a piston engine. 1. 1925, Wilhelm Pate patents a constant volume engine design. 1926, Alan Arnold Griffith publishes his groundbreaking paper Aerodynamic Theory of Turbine Design, Changing the Low Confidence in Jet Engines. In it he demonstrates that existing compressors are flying stalled, and that major improvements can be made by redesigning the blades from a flat profile into an airfoil, going on to mathematically demonstrate that a practical engine is definitely possible and showing how to build a turboprop. 1927, Aurel Stadler publishes his Steam and Gas Turbines, Basic Reference for Jet Propulsion Engineers in the USA. 1927, a test single-shaft turbo compressor based on Griffith's blade design is tested at the Royal Aircraft Establishment. Known as AN, the tests are successful and plans are made to build a complete compressor turbine assembly known as Betty. 1929, Frank Whittle's thesis on future aircraft design is published. In it he talks about the needs for high-speed flight and the use of turbojets as the only reasonable solution to the problem of propeller efficiency. 1929, Boris Stepkin publishes first theory of supersonic ramjet, based on compressible fluid theory. First turbojet engines, 1930-38, edit. 1930, Whittle presents a complete jet engine design to the Air Ministry. They pass the paper to Alan Griffith at the Royal Aircraft Establishment, who says the idea is impracticable, pointing out a mathematical error, noting the low efficiency of his design, and stating that Whittle's use of a centrifugal compressor would make his proposal useless for aircraft applications. 1930, Whittle receives official notice that the Air Ministry is not interested in his concepts, and that they do not even feel that it is worthy of making secret. He is devastated, but friends in the Royal Air Force convince him to patent the idea anyway. This turns out to be a major stroke of luck, because if the Air Ministry had made the idea secret, they would have become the official owners of the rights to the concept. In his patent, Whittle cleverly hedges his bets, and describes an engine with 2 axial compressor stages and 1 centrifugal, thus anticipating both routes forward. 1930, Schmidt patents a Pulse J engine in Germany. 1931, Secondo Campini patents his motorjet engine, referring to it as a thermojet. A motorjet is a crude form of hybrid jet engine in which the compressor is powered by a piston engine, rather than a turbine. 1933, Hans von Ahn writes his thesis at the University of Göttingen, describing an engine similar to Frank Whittle's with the exception that it uses a centrifugal fan as the turbine as well as the compressor. This design is a dead end. No centrifugal turbine jet engine will ever be built. 1933, Yuri Pobedonost 7 Igor Merkulov tests hydrogen-powered GERD-04 ramjet engine. First supersonic flight of a jet-propelled object achieved with artillery-launched ramjets later that year. 1934, von Ahn hires a local mechanic, Max Hahn, to build a prototype of his engine design at Hahn's garage. 1934, Secondo Campini starts work on the Campini Caproni CC.2, based on his thermojet engine. 1935, Whittle allows his patent to lapse after finding himself unable to pay the £5 renewal fee. Soon afterward he is approached by ex-RAF officers Rolf Dudley Williams and James Collingwood Tinling with a proposal to set up a company to develop his design and power jets. Limited is created. 1935 Virgilio Loret Ruiz is granted a patent, submitted January 1935, granted March 1935, in Madrid for a continuous reaction turbo compressor, for propulsion of aircraft, and in general all types of vehicles. Work commenced at the Hispano Suiza factory in 1936, months after Loret's execution by Francoist forces. 1936, von Ahn is introduced to Ernst Heinkel by a former professor. After being grilled by Heinkel engineers for hours, they conclude his idea is genuine. Heinkel hires von Ahn and Hahn, setting them up at their Rostock area factory. 1936, Junkers starts work on axial flow turboprop designs under the direction of Herbert Wagner and Adolf Müller. 1936, Junkers Motor Own, Chumo, is merged with Junkers, formerly separate companies. 1936, a stationary gas turbine is installed at the Sun Oil refinery in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania. 1936, French engineer René Leduc, having independently rediscovered René Laurin's design, successfully demonstrates the world's first operating ramjet. The Armida LR orders a prototype aircraft, the Leduc 010, a few months later. April 1937, Whittle's experimental centrifugal engine is tested at the British Thomson Houston plant in Rugby. September 1937, The Heinkel Hees 1 experimental hydrogen-fueled centrifugal engine is tested at Herth. September 1937, von Heinz Heinkel Hees 1 is converted to run on gasoline. Ernst Heinkel gives the go-ahead to develop a flight-quality engine and a test aircraft to put it in. 1937, Hayne Constant, Griffith's partner at the RAE, starts negotiations with Metropolitan Vickers, Metrovic, a British heavy industry firm, to develop a Griffith-style turboprop. 1937, at Junkers, Wagner and Muller decide to redesign their work as a pure jet. 1938, Metrovic receives a contract from the Air Ministry to start work with Constant. 1938, Georgy Gendrasik starts work on a turboprop engine of his own design. April 1938, Hans Morch takes over the RLM Rocket Development Office. He expands the charter of his office and starts a massive jet development project, under Helmut Schelp. Morch spurns Heinkel and Junkers, concentrating only on the big four engine companies, Daimler-Benz, BMW, Jumo and Bramo. Morch and Schelp visit all four over the next few months, and find them uninterested in the jet concept. 1938, a small team at BMW led by Hermann Ostrich builds and flies a simple thermojet, quickly prompting them to design a true jet engine. 1938, the Heinkel He-178 V1 jet test is completed, awaiting an engine. 1938, the Heinkel He's 3 flight quality engine is tested. This is the first truly usable jet engine. The engine flies on a Heinkel He-118 later that year, eventually becoming the first aircraft to be powered by jet power alone. This engine is tested until it burns out after a few months, and a second is readied for flight. 1938, Wagner's axial flow engine is tested at Junkers. 1938, Messerschmitt starts the preliminary design of a twin-engine jet fighter under the direction of Waldemar Voigt. This work developed into the Messerschmitt Me 262. 1939, Flight, Edit. 1 Arkhip Mikhailovich Liuka develops early turbofan engine at Kharkov Aviation Institute. 2 A stationary gas turbine is installed in a new electrical generating plant in Neuchâtel, Switzerland. 3 A 2,200 horsepower, 1,600 kilowatts, gas turbine is built by Braun, Bovry and C and used to power an experimental train in Switzerland. 4 BMW's team led by Hermann Ostrich tests their axial flow design. 5 Bramo starts work on 2 axial flow designs, the P.3301 and P.3302. The P.3301 is similar to Griffith's contra-rotating designs, the P.3302 using a simpler compressor forward/stator system. 6 Bramo is bought out by BMW, who abandoned their own jet project under Ostrich, placing him in charge of Bramo's efforts. 7 Summer, Jumo is awarded a contract to develop an axial flow engine, starting work under Anselm Franz. Muller decamps with half the team to Heinkel. 8 Frank Whittle's patent drawing for his engine is published in the German magazine Flugsport. 1 August, Heinkel He-178 V1, the first jet-powered aircraft, flies for the first time, powered by the He's 3B. 2 September, a team from the Air Ministry visits Power Jets once again, but this time Frank Whittle demonstrates a jet engine at full power for a continuous 20-minute run. They are extremely impressed. Quickly contracts are offered to Whittle to develop a flyable design, and production contracts are offered to practically every engine company in England. These companies also set up their own design efforts, reducing the possibility of financial rewards for power jets. 3 September. The Air Ministry also contracts Gloucester to build an experimental airframe for testing Whittle's engines, the Gloucester E.28/39. 4 After hearing of Whittle's successful demonstration, Hayne Constant realizes that exhaust thrust is practical. The Metrovic efforts are quickly reworked into a turbojet design, the Metrovic F.2. 5 November, Muller's team restarts work on their axial flow design at Heinkel, now known as the Heinkel Hees 30. 6 René Ancelaz of France's Rato company received a patent on an advanced jet design incorporating bypass. 7 Leist joins Daimler-Benz and starts work on an advanced contra-rotating turbofan design, the Daimler-Benz DB007. 8 A shake-up at the RLM's engine division places Helmut Skelp in control, and results in development contracts for all existing engine designs. The designs are also given consistent naming, the Heinkel Hees 8 becoming the 109-001, the Hees 30 the -006, BMW's efforts the -002 and -003, and Jumo's the -004. Porsche's project becomes the -005, although work never starts on it. DB gets -007. Numbers starting in the 20s are saved for turboprops, and 500 and up for rockets. 1940, edit. 1 The Campini Caproni CC.2 flies for first time. The flights were highly publicized, and for many years the Italians were credited with having the first jet-powered aircraft. 2 NACA, National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, starts work on a CC.2-like motorjet for assisted takeoffs, and they later design an aircraft based on it. This work ends in 1943 when turbojets start to mature, and rockets take over the role of JATO, or jet-assisted takeoff. 3 Von Haynes' larger Heinkel Hees 8001 engine is tested. 4 BMW's P.3302-003 axial flow engine is tested. 5 September, glider testing of the Heinkel He-280 twinjet fighter begins, while it waits for the Hees 8 to mature. 6 September, Henry Tizard visits the United States to show them many of the advanced technologies the British are working on and looking for US production. The Tizard mission. Among many other details, Tizard first mentions their work on jet engines. 7 October, Rover is selected to build the flight quality power jets W.1. They set up shop at a disused mill in Barnoldswick, but also set up a parallel effort at another factory in Clitheroe staffed entirely by their own engineers. Frank Whittle is incensed. 8 November, the Junkers Jumo 004 axial flow engine is tested. 9 November, Gloucester Aircraft Company's proposal for a twin-engine jet fighter is accepted, becoming the Gloucester Meteor. 10 December, Whittle's flight quality W.1X runs for the first time. 11 The Lockheed Corporation starts work on the L-1000 axial flow engine, the United States' first jet design. 12 The Northrop Corporation starts work on the T-37 Turbodyne, the United States' first turboprop design. 13 After only 2 years of development, the Gendrasek CS-1 turboprop engine is tested. Designed to produce 1,000 horsepower, 750 kilowatts. Combustion problems limited to only 400 horsepower, 300 kilowatts, when it first runs. Similar problems plagued early Whittle designs, but the industry quickly provided assistance. It appears that Georgy Gendrasek had to draw upon any similar talent pool. 1942, edit. 1 February, the Air Ministry places an order for 12 Gloucester Meteor. 2 February, NACA starts testing their propulsive duct engine, a ramjet, unaware of earlier similar efforts. Since ramjets need to be moving in order to work, NACA engineers take the simple step of mounting it at the end of a long arm and spinning it. 3 April, the He-280 flies under its own power for first time, powered by two Heinkel He-7001 engines. The He's-8S continue to have reliability issues. 4 May, the Gloucester E.28/39 flies for the first time. Over the next few weeks, the top speed soon passes any existing propeller aircraft. 5 Muller's Heinkel He's-29-006 axial flow engine runs for first time. 6 General Electric is awarded a USAF contract to develop a turboprop engine, leading to the TG100/TG31/XT31 series, and later the J35. 7 Work on the Gendrastic CS-1 ends. Intended to power a twin-engine heavy fighter, the factory is selected to produce Daimler-Benz DB605 engines under license for the Messerschmitt Me 210 instead. 8 October, a Powerjets W.2B is sent to General Electric to start production in the US. Sanford Alexander Moss is lured out of retirement to help on the project. 9 The Switzerland turbine-powered train enters testing. 1943, edit. 1 The Metrovic F.2 is given test rating delivering between 1,800 and 2,000 lbf, 8.9 kN. 2 Metrovic start on thrust augmentation adding a turbine and propellers to AF2/2 which will lead to the F.3, a high bypass design, with an extra 1,600 lbf, 7,100 N, over the F2/2. 3 Work on the BMW 002 is stopped as it is proving too complex. Work continues on the 003. 4 Work on the He's-8-001 and He's-30-006 is stopped, although the latter appears to be reaching production quality. Heinkel is ordered to continue on the more advanced Heinkel He's-011. 5 The Messerschmitt Me 262 flies for the first time, powered by a Junkers Jumo 211 piston engine in the nose. The BMW 003 has been selected to power the production versions, but is not yet ready for flight tests. The design, offering more internal fuel capacity than the He-280, is selected over its now 003 powered competitor for production. 6 A Jumo 004 flies, fitted to a Messerschmitt Me 110. 7 The Daimler-Benz 007 axial flow engine is tested, similar to Griffith's contraflow design that uses 2 contra-rotating compressor stages for added efficiency. 8 The production quality BMW 003 is first tested. 9 March. The Rover W2B/26 experimental engine, STX, is first run. This was the straight-through design made by Rover without the knowledge of Whittle. This design was to be adopted by Rolls-Royce as the basis for their Derwent engine after they took over from Rover, by which time 4 more W2B/26 engines were under test. 10 The British order a single-engine jet design from de Havilland. 11 The 18th of July 1942, the Messerschmitt Me 262, the first jet-powered fighter aircraft, flies for the first time under jet power. 12 July, Frank Whittle visits the United States to help with General Electric's efforts to build the W.1. The engine is running soon after, known as the General Electric Type 1, and later as the I-16, referring to the 1,600 lbf, 7,100 N, thrust. They also start work on an improved version, The I-40, with 4,000 lbf, 18 kN, thrust. The majority of United States jet engines from this time through the mid-1950s are licensed versions of British designs. 13 Whittle returns to Power Jets and starts development of the improved Power Jets W.2/500 and /700 engines, so named for their thrust in kilograms force, kgf. 14